Hi, everyone. Welcome to our quick recorded webinar on handling threat assessment cases remotely. My name is Marisa Randazzo. I'm CEO of Sigma Threat Management Associates, and I'm here today with Cindy Marble, who is our Senior Vice President for Training Operations and also our Chief Operating Officer. Cindy and I and the rest of the team at Sigma wanted to share some information with you all today because we're in unprecedented times with our pandemic of COVID-19 and all of us, most of us, having to engage in changes to our daily operations like teleworking, teleeducation, and having to work more at a distance. We wanted to share with you some ideas that we had and experiences that we have had in handling threat assessment cases from a distance or remotely. You can think of this as sort of tele-threat assessment, if you will. We wanted to share a couple of tips and tricks that we have used throughout the years in working remotely with teams that we help to coach through cases, in the way in which we handle cases ourselves at Sigma. Nearly all of our team members at Sigma Threat Management live and work in different locations. We're scattered around the United States, and so we're used to working through video conferencing platforms like this one. We're used to helping teams at a distance as well. So there are absolutely ways that we can work threat assessment cases remotely, and we want to share with you some ideas and tips on how to do that. What I want to say too is that we are going to be doing, our hope is to do a series of these webinars and discussions just to share some thoughts and strategies with you all, especially as we go through the coming weeks and perhaps longer as we are facing a pandemic and have to be changing our routines. What we are anticipating is that with these changes to our working environment, to our kids' educational environment, to our homes becoming no longer just homes, but workplaces and educational spaces as well, that we're all going to be facing challenges, and that may translate into different behavior that we see. It may translate into an increase in concerning behavior that we see. And that threat assessment can play a vital role in helping us to better understand those behavioral changes, helping to understand risk, and helping us to reduce risk, largely, especially by connecting people with the right resources and care that they may need. What we want to focus on today is really talking about how threat assessment can be done at a distance, done remotely, using your same team or creating a team now if you don't have one. We're going to go more in depth into some of these other issues in other series and webinars. I will also say that at the end of this segment, we're going to have our phone number and our email address, and we would love to hear from you with any ideas you have for additional webinars, topics for us to discuss, ways that we can help. And we would also love to hear about tips and strategies that you've developed yourself that may be working for your team. All right. So I'm going to introduce Cindy Marble. As I said, Cindy is our Chief Operating Officer. She's also our Senior Vice President for Training Operations. Cindy and I also have worked in the field of threat assessment for years and actually decades together. Now that I do the math, Cindy and I first met when we were both junior psychologists and an agent coming on board for Cindy at the U.S. Secret Service. And we have worked in the field of threat assessment for 25, 26 years now, longer, Cindy has, I think. And so we've been doing this work for a very long time and doing it under lots of different conditions. So, Cindy?
Thanks, Marisa. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. I think the first thing that we need to make sure when we're going to work a threat assessment case remotely is that we all can get in touch with each other. That's one of the communication, obviously, is the first thing that we need. So take a look, make sure that you've got a way for your team to communicate. Do you have a conference line that you can use? Are you on a group chat with people? Are you getting information on group chats? I know lately, even in my personal life, there have been several instances now in the past week where group chats have been set up, whether it's for education purposes, work purposes, or whatever. Just make sure that you have those things in place. Think about the fact that, again, we are in uncharted territory, and we need to think outside the box on how we're actually running our threat assessment cases in our meetings. So just be creative, think outside the box.
The other thing I want to add here too is that, think about the ways that people may be reaching out to your team already. If you have people directed through your existing website, for example, or through contact information in a directory for your company or your campus or your school, are those numbers going to a desk line, and how often are you checking that desk line? So think about ways that you could either forward numbers to your cell phone. If you're comfortable giving out your cell phone, go ahead. If you have a work cell phone, obviously you can distribute that. But there are also interesting applications that exist now to be able to create kind of a separate work number on our personal cell phones. So for example, we like to use the Grasshopper platform. So we can have people call what's a number that we have created as a Sigma number. It would ring to one of our personal cell phones, but it's not giving out personal cell phone number. It's just giving out an office line. So there are different ways that we can do that to make sure that people can still alert the teams when they need to, but without necessarily distributing information that would be personal for you to share. Other things that are, once you have a way to be connecting, whether it's conference line, we use the Zoom video platform here, a group text. If you have a teenager living in the house, they may already be incredibly adept at using Snapchat and group texting, and so maybe they can be of some assistance as well. But once you have a way to make sure that you can connect, we can also think about ways to be creative as to how we actually run threat assessment meetings. We're all going to have additional demands on our time, and it's in a way may feel counterintuitive. Yes, for many people, they may be working now from home, and so that may feel as if you're going to have more time available, but yet at the same time, we are navigating other challenges with having children who may be in the home doing schoolwork at the same time, having older parents living in the home that we may need to be caring for as well, and so that our available time may not be what it used to be if you were working in more of an office setting or in a school setting. So one of the things that we can do here is think about running our team meetings in creative ways. You can do a quick notification if a new matter comes in and the team needs to meet. You could send out a group chat saying, let's all hop on the phone on our conference line, on our video platform at 5 o'clock today for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, keep it short, and let the team know about what the new situation is, and then be able to figure out from there, let's hand out some assignments, who's going to do what and in what time frame, and then figure out what the next update meeting will be. Let's do another call tomorrow at noon, tomorrow at 9 a.m., and figure out where we are, what we have so far, what else we need to do. And then do another call. All right, so we're going to dedicate the next half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour to analyzing all the information, to making our assessment. And then maybe we do one more call to figure out what our case management strategy is going to be going forward. One of the things I think is important, and we have experienced this, both of the work at Sigma we've done remotely for years, and also just in the new new structure that we're navigating so far with the clients that we've served for a long time, and that is that we should all expect interruptions. I've got a dog who loves to bark at the doorbell. We've got colleagues who have cats who will walk across the screen as we're having a video conference. We have kids in and out all the time. It's okay. We're not expected to have the same level of kind of sanitized environment and sterilized environment and quiet. Interruptions are okay. They're normal. They're a part of life. We're not expected to do this perfectly necessarily, but we are still expected to be able to do it in situations where we need to do it.
I think, Marisa, I think bringing order to the chaos really is what this does, and especially handing out assignments and making time to call back again. You're tasking people with things to do. They feel like things are a little bit more controlled that way. So yes, things may be going awry at home. The dog might be barking, or the kid might be walking in. First of all, you have to give yourself permission for that to happen. Yeah. Don't expect perfection in this. This is a time where, again, things are chaotic. We're trying to just bring a little order to this.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Cindy, before you go on to this slide too, Rose, there are two other things I meant to say on the last slide, and that is just things to consider from a from a case management resource standpoint, one thing that you can think about doing as a team is that the normal go-to resources that maybe you were using to refer a number of cases to, an EAP program in your workplace, a counseling center on your campus, a school counselor within a school setting, it's important now to do some check-in, to start thinking about checking in with those resources to find out how they are operating in a distance environment, in a tele environment. We work with some colleges, for example, that are looking now for their active cases within their counseling centers to help identify local resources as their students go back to their permanent residences that they can help connect their students to if they don't have a therapist back home. Your school resource officer may be helpful in trying to figure out what local law enforcement might need to be notified if you have a concern pop up about student behavior online or staff behavior in your school district, but that person is no longer now within your physical school setting. How can you refer to local law enforcement and maybe a neighboring jurisdiction or something further off? But how can you do that? So as a team, start to think about what are your normal go-to intervention resources, case management resources. Start to check in with those resources and make some contacts and figure out, all right, so what are you doing now that's different? Are there maybe telehealth resources available within your region, within your state that you didn't know about? So think about starting to revise your case management resource list with maybe new contact information and check in with your existing contacts to see what they're doing now.
Don't forget, while you're doing this, we're thinking about others. We also need to think about ourselves. Make sure that you check in on your team, even when you don't need to. Often, when we train, we tell each other, we tell you to get together even when you don't need to. This is also relevant now. We need to be checking in with each other, check in with the team, make sure that you're keeping an eye on each other. If this becomes too much, because there's so much going on right now, take a break, step back. Don't think that you're expected to do everything. Ask someone to take your place for a while. And talk to each other when you don't have things to talk about case-wise. Just get together again, make phone calls, the chat, just, hey, how are you doing? Even when you don't have things to talk about.
I think that's absolutely vital. I mean, we talk about the importance of connection in threat assessment when we're talking about cases that we're handling and connecting someone whose behavior is raising concern with the right resources to mitigate risk. But connection is absolutely vital within a team as well. And I just want to underscore what Cindy was saying, because we don't know when someone might need a break. One of the things that we're going to talk about in further webinars, and I'll just touch on this here, is that we're anticipating that the unknown aspects of what we're going through as a country and globally, and the level of stress, increased stress that people may be feeling because of financial uncertainty, because of schedule uncertainty, because of isolation from colleagues and coworkers, isolation from friends, because of the sort of anxiety over the how long will this go on. For people who've had some previous trauma, we know that a situation like this can be particularly impactful because it creates a situation where you may have no control over what's going on, and that can be especially troubling. For all of those reasons, these changes are likely to impact the behavior not just of our cases, but are going to have impacts on our team members and our colleagues and friends as well. So keeping an eye out for each other and asking for a break when you need it is very, very important. And I want to make sure people feel comfortable asking for that break if you need to step aside for a little bit. One of the things that we can do now remotely is use things like online training opportunities to help get new team members up to speed. We also know that there is a wonderful, I'm starting to see a wonderful resurgence in social media and in online, email exchanges and things like that of people, strangers wanting to help. This may be a time where you have more people interested in starting to serve on a team and want to join a team and learn what they can and do what they can to help. So there are online training opportunities out there through Sigma, obviously, but through lots of other companies and resources. So look for what threat assessment training opportunities may exist that have gone online, and use that to get new people up to speed if they're interested. Use it as a morale building experience for existing team members. They can do refresher training, they can sit through the training together. And just as Cindy was saying before, finding time to connect when you're not doing casework, whether it's attending a training together and joking on your group text about the trainer, what they're saying, what they're wearing, whatever the case may be, find ways to build some morale together and to shore each other up. And this new change in work structure, educational structure for all of us will also create some opportunities where we can do more learning and do more training together and build these skills together. The last thing we just want to emphasize too is that this is a change for all of us. In our line of work and in the decades of work that we've done together as a team at Sigma, we have learned to look at changes in behavior and try to figure out what's underlying that and how best we can help. As threat assessment teams, for those of you working on teams, working in the field of threat assessment, you know this is at the core of what we are doing. It's around looking at what's going on, what's driving behavior. Is this some sort of a cry for help? And if so, what can we do to help connect that person with resources? Our resources now may be more at a distance. They may be more through video connecting, through our smartphones, through podcasts, through email exchanges. But finding ways to keep that connectedness within your team as well as with your cases is going to be very helpful going forward. And just as we mentioned in the beginning, we want to hear what your concerns are. We want to hear what questions you have. We would absolutely love to hear what ideas, tips, tricks. If you have figured out how to navigate Snapchat as an adult, I would love to know that. I see our 13-year-old daughter well connected with her friends right now, and see how beneficial that is for her well-being and her emotional health, as well as just for her educational needs. So any tips and tricks that you are figuring out, we'd love to hear about them through our email address, through our Twitter feed, through phone calls. Stay connected. Let us know how we can help. Also, let us know what you are doing that works well. So on behalf of Cindy Marble and our entire team at Sigma Threat Management Associates, we wish all of you good threat assessment cases, good connection, and we wish all of us collectively good health going forward. Please stay safe, please stay healthy, and stay tuned for more webinars and discussions from us about things we can be doing together. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.